My body goes swagger, my mind goes scatter, so there is a more ladder. I'm a dumb baby with a clueless. See me lost in my own voodoo. My body goes swagger, my mind goes scatter, so there is a more ladder. Flacka, I took you cause I'm out of waka.
Hello everyone, thank you for joining me for episode number 6 of the Mindset series. Today I am joined by a Melbourne coach by the name of Danny Kennedy. He's a certified personal trainer and strength and conditioning coach. He specialises in training individual athletes along with online coaching and macronutrient coaching, and is a very firm believer in flexible dieting. But today we talk about things more surrounded around mindset. So thank you for joining me, and we hope you enjoy the show. All right,
Perfect.
Dan. Thanks for coming on, mate. So what time is it there in LA?
It's just past 8 p.m. now.
Cool.
Thanks for having me too.
You're very welcome. No, thank you. So I suppose, Dan, we'll just kick it off. If you can just sort of tell us why you sort of got into the fitness industry, why, basically how it all started for you.
Yeah, for sure. So growing up, I was heavily involved in sport, specifically basketball and football. So once I finished up year 12, I grew up in Horsham in the country Victoria. So as soon as I finished school in year 12, I moved to Melbourne for basketball full-time for 2 years. While I was kind of in high school and I guess growing up, I probably got involved in the gym and I guess fitness and nutrition and stuff at around about 16, I'd say, maybe 16 years old. And at the time, it was just to put on size for basketball because one of my coaches told me I was just too skinny. And initially, I actually hated the gym. Like I felt great afterwards, but I more so enjoyed running and the aerobic side of things, and the gym. I kind of just dreaded it all the time, to be honest. But after a while, I started to really fall in love with it, and I guess you could almost say like enjoy that more sometimes than what I was enjoying football and basketball.
Yep.
So I decided to do my personal training certificate by correspondence in year 12. Just separately. So I gave myself kind of 12 months to do it and did that. And then once I moved to Melbourne, I just didn't have time to do personal training, unfortunately. So I just focused on basketball for 2 years. And then at the end of 2013, I had to get an ankle reconstruction, which at the time was pretty devastating because I'd spent 2 years really trying to I was literally putting in 3 to 4 hours a day for basketball and everything. So at the time it was very disappointing, but in the months following it kind of led to the decision to one, start personal training because I wasn't going to be playing basketball for a fair while, and two, to actually do a physique competition in men's physique, which at the time was relatively new to like the natural bodybuilding world, and it had only just kind of started up. So I did my own comp prep. I thought I'd figured out how to do my nutrition and everything relatively spot on by then, just from trial and error. Once I actually moved to Melbourne, like to give you an idea, I moved to Melbourne and I think I was 63 kilos at the exact same height that I am now. And now I'm, I think, just over 85. So I basically I underate, overtrained, and didn't have a great relationship with food and not a great mindset around food. So I really put in the time to learning all that side of the nutrition once I moved to Melbourne. And I guess I felt like I was at a point when I did my comp prep that I was confident with what I found was going to work, and it was working for me. And I'd started to help out a few friends with some programs on the side, not paid or anything, just helping out friends and giving them gym programs and nutrition and stuff, and they were seeing results. So so I did that competition, and then I guess, as they say, the rest is history. The last 4 to 5 years has kind of flown by, and I never went back to basketball. I've competed, I think it's maybe 5 or 6 times in total, including international competition. And then now I do online nutrition coaching, online programming, and personal training and strength and conditioning. So it's basically just taken off now. So I guess that's pretty much all.
Cool. So when you competed, did you compete mainly in Melbourne, or overseas? Where have you competed?
So the first year I competed in Melbourne, just one competition. And then the second year I competed in Melbourne, Canberra and Las Vegas.
Yep.
And then I took a year off, or not a year off. I just didn't compete for a year. I just spent time trying to grow and not compete. And then last year I competed in, where did I compete last year? Competed in Melbourne twice. And then I haven't competed this year, and probably don't have any intentions of getting back on stage anytime soon. I'm just spending more time building up my physique a bit and growing the business, and doing other stuff in life than prepping for 3/4 of the year. So, but it's been a really good experience. It's helped a lot with content for being able to share my kind of journey with, things like the podcast. I run a podcast as well. I do like plenty of videos on my social media and YouTube and stuff like that. So it's been great for content. It's been great for learning more about how my body responds to certain ways of eating and training. And yeah, it's just been, I think I've managed to, I don't really want to talk about myself too much, but I think I've been able to,
here, mate.
I think it's been able to share my journey to competing has been able to open up the eyes to some other people around me that probably wouldn't have taken that step to compete if it hadn't been for me doing it. Because when I first did it, it was like none of my friends had ever done it. And it's a funny story, like I actually didn't tell anyone that I was doing it until the week of the show, because it was just weird. I just thought that people would think it's a bit weird. And when I look back at it now, it's stupid to think that. Now I really couldn't care less what anyone thinks. And I think that's probably been one of the best mindset shifts for me, is to not really care about what other people think. And that's definitely opened up a lot of doors since I've made that switch. Because in the past, growing up and everything, I was the exact opposite. Like I did everything to please other people and did a lot of things that I probably didn't necessarily even want to be doing, but I did it because I was worried about what others would think if I didn't do it.
Yeah, right. It's it's so funny that you say that, because I think growing up, I believe it comes part and parcel of becoming mature and growing up, and we all just want to please people like we try to please our parents growing up. And then we soon realize that, the less we sort of focus on others and more on ourselves, life just gets so much better from there. So let's talk about your mindset now going into your comp. So I suppose talk a little bit about your personality back then, because obviously it sounds like you've developed quite a bit over the last 4 to 5 years, and obviously have gained more self-awareness. So talk about your mindset back then, and obviously any tools and strategies that you may have had in place to get you to stage, because it can be quite a grueling process for anyone that's done it or attempted to have done it. Yeah. So take us through that journey.
And I think I'll just quickly add as well. I know we both just touched on it then, but when I say that, like, I now don't really care about what other people think, and I focus a bit more on myself, as it's kind of like in the least selfish way possible. It's not so much more about only thinking about myself. Like, I still feel as though I'm a very, I guess, caring person, and like to put other people in a position to succeed, and try not to be too selfish. And I'll touch on that in a second. That's actually one of my goals coming into my comps last year, is to not make everything about me, because competing is a selfish sport. But it's more so just about not caring about other people's opinion on what I do. If people don't like it, if someone that follows me on Instagram doesn't like what I post, if they think that what I post is stupid or whatever, like, they can hit that unfollow button if they really want, because in the end of the day, I'm doing what I enjoy, and I think everyone should do that. There's a lot of people out there working jobs or, living lives what they think they should be doing, when deep down they want to be doing something different. So my mindset for comp prep, I think I knew very early on that as much as I badly want to win, I'm very, 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 very competitive. And if you ask my girlfriend, she would tell you that. But my mindset right from the start has always been to make sure that I just looked better than what I did previously and bring my best physique to the stage. Because in the end of the day, that's all you can do, because it's such a subjective sport. In the end of the day, like a plastic trophy and a placing being told by a few people looking at you, telling you that someone else looks better than you or you look better than someone else, in the end of the day, it really doesn't mean that much to me. As long as I can look back at my efforts and say that I put in 100%, I can say that I look much better than what I did last time. I feel much better and I learned things along the way. And that, in my eyes, that's a success. I guess last year when I competed, I felt after my first competition, even before my first competition of the year, that I'd already surpassed my previous physique. So in my eyes, I'd already won. So I just felt so much more relaxed and confident going into my shows, because it didn't bother me at all what the placing was. I wasn't stressed at all about it. I felt really good. As I mentioned before, like last year I did put a lot of effort into making sure that it didn't take over my life. So my approach to nutrition has always been flexible dieting and keeping things relatively flexible in terms of what I eat, when I eat, who I eat with, and all that type of stuff. So I still tried to eat out if my girlfriend was going out to have something to eat, or I was going to, I think I had my sister's birthday. Might have been her 18th birthday, literally like a couple of days before the first comp of the year, and I still went and had dinner out with her and everything, because I didn't want to sacrifice life stuff just for a competition. So that was a big thing I tried to focus on, because looking back on previous comps, you do realize how much you start to just think about yourself when it gets close to competition. And
absolutely.
Those that have spent time around people that are prepping will kind of know straight away what that's like in terms of, making sure you're getting your meals in, making sure you train. Once you get to that level of body fat, become a little bit moody and all that type of stuff, and everything just becomes a lot more stressful. So I just tried to minimize stress as much as I could, which I typically don't find easy. So I just tried to put in some strategies to make sure that I was staying stress-free and nice and relaxed.
Cool. Beautiful. So the impression I get from you is that you're quite passionate about flexible dieting.
Yes.
Correct? Yeah, cool. Yeah. So that obviously stems from the time when you didn't have such a great relationship with food.
Definitely. Yeah, I was very restrictive when I didn't have a great relationship with food. And like I said, I was like severely underweight. I saw food as good or bad. I felt extremely bad about myself and would exercise excessively after I ate bad or ate food that I didn't see as good, healthy food.
Yep.
So it was really hard the first year once I kind of come across flexible dieting, and I started looking into tracking macros, and I was looking at articles written by guys like Lane Norton and Alan Aragon and people like that. Even someone like Nick Cheadle, who's an Aussie as well. So I was looking into all of that and I started implementing it, but it was still hard for starters. Like anyone that's tried to completely change the way they eat or trying to improve their relationship with food, it's not like you can just flick a switch and all of a sudden it's just everything's perfect.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of time. So I think that's definitely helped as well with, I don't know what that is. Sorry about that.
That's right. I think it's a Facebook call.
Definitely helped with being able to relate to working with clients that are going through the same thing, which I think has been a bit of a blessing because I understand that it's not easy. It's not going to be something that just happens overnight. So I try to keep things relatively flexible. Like at the moment, I'm overseas, obviously, still tracking relatively loosely, but still keeping in mind how much I'm eating each day, trying to get enough protein, get in my fruit and veggies and all that type of stuff, and but not restrict myself and not go out to eat just because I want to be healthy or because I see myself as a fitness person. Because in the end of the day, I don't think I know anyone that can eat 100% quote unquote clean 365 days a year and never have a day where they decide to binge. So I'd rather not binge at all and just keep the things that I enjoy most in the rotation and do it that way.
So how many calories are you having at the moment, roughly? Do you know?
Yeah, so at the moment, I'm just trying to stick to 3,000, which for me is pretty much maintenance at the moment. Some days. Like, it depends on what my energy expenditure is like. At the moment, I've been exercising quite a bit over here. It's obviously pretty warm in LA at the moment, so probably doing a bit more cardio, definitely training hard because I'm trying out a few different gyms and stuff. But in saying that, because it is summer, I'm trying to stay summer over here. I'm trying to stay relatively lean, so I don't want to just blow my calories out and bump them up for the sake of doing it and put on unnecessary body fat.
Yeah. So are you tracking food at the moment? Like, how are you approaching your flexible dieting? So for those that have sort of have an idea of dieting as calorie restriction and having to be pretty precise with certain things, what sort of approach do you take to it?
Yeah, so I just don't really I don't look at, I guess, dieting as such as an on and off button. I just see dieting as I eat roughly the same things. I don't restrict myself from anything. The only thing that changes for me is if I want to lose weight or lose fat, I'll just reduce my intake. If I want to gain weight, I'll increase it. If I'm happy with where I'm at, I'll keep it the same. So at the moment, because I am eating out a little bit more and everything's not as accurate in terms of tracking, I'm just tracking my calories and my protein intake for the day. So then my carbohydrates and fats, most days are quite different than the day before or the day after. So as long as I'm not stupid. Like, I know that, if I eat really shitty food, hopefully I'm allowed to swear on here. If I eat shitty food,
go for it.
then I'm going to feel shit. I'm not going to sleep as well. My recovery is not going to be as good. So I think just naturally I tend to make healthier choices in terms of food. But in saying that, I'm definitely not avoiding certain things. Like, I've been to In-N-Out Burger here a couple of times. Like, I'll eat ice cream at night if I feel like it. But that doesn't make up the majority of my nutritional intake. It's majority of my food is nutrient dense whole foods. So that's basically my approach at the moment.
Yeah. I take a very similar approach to that as well. So I try not to restrict myself from the things that I do love. So I do have my own vices like yourself. I like biscuits at night after work. Like, I'm on my feet all day, or I work that split shift and then I come home and I do find myself quite hungry. So as long as, like, the way I explain it to my clients is I say you've got your foundation foods, which is majority of your nutrient dense foods, your fruit, your veg, your meats. And as long as they're ticking those boxes, there's really no reason why they can't throw in those little bit of other extras, like the chocolate here and there, or a biscuit here and there, hot chocolate. And again, it can't be no reason why you can't sort of do it on the daily if everything else is kind of in control in terms of training, dieting, and all the rest of it. So again, if they're going to take on a more of a lifestyle approach, then it's got to be more of a consistent sort of thing across the board, rather than you're going to be extreme for 5 days and then you're going to let loose for 1 or 2 meals type thing. So
that's it. Well, that's what really, in the end of the day, that's what leads to the yo-yo dieting, where, like you said, you're eating extremely strict for a certain period of time, and then you go way off track for a day or 2 days, and then you repeat the cycle. And then not only do you not see the results that you want to see, you also create that unhealthy relationship with food. So for me, like, basically what you've just said, like, I follow a 90-10 rule, and that's what I give to my clients as well. Is I say 90% of your foods ideally are going to come from nutrient dense whole foods, and that leftover 10% can be on some days. Some days you may just eat all your food from nutrient dense foods, but on some days you may fit in those things that you might be craving or whatever. And that's what I try and do even with my comp prep, and that's what I do with the vlogs and the social media, is actually show people that when I'm getting in the best shape of my life, I'm not eating like what people think you need to eat. Like, I'm still eating the things that I enjoy. You tend to gravitate towards things that are on that healthier side anyway. But like I said, if I want to go out for a drink or whatever, and there's no reason why I should just write off that whole day and just drink myself silly, instead of just tracking it in my intake, and then the next day not feeling bad about the fact that I did it.
Yeah, right. Okay. So talk about your clients just quickly. What's your client avatar? Are you doing more athletes, Gen Pop? Describe your clients.
I'd say it's a bit of a mix. Like, I definitely work with athletes. I feel as though my my in-person, like face-to-face clientele is people that are probably more so have the goal of getting strong, building muscle mass, and also using high-intensity interval training for their conditioning. Specifically with females, I like to try and put a lot of time into teaching girls how to lift properly, showing them the difference in their physique and how they feel and how much they can eat by actually lifting weights and not being scared of going to the gym and doing big heavy lifts and getting strong. And then, yeah, like I said, athletes. Whereas online, it does vary a bit because in the end of the day, I'm basically just giving them the tools to set up their own nutrition pretty much, but just have me to be accountable towards and to learn off and get bits and pieces so they have the tools in their toolbox instead of relying on someone to give them a sheet of paper that says you can and can't eat this. So in that respect, it's probably a bit more on the side of fat loss or muscle building. I try not to do too much in terms of online. Sorry, I try not to do too much in terms of specific programming in terms of gym stuff because it's hard for me because I can't actually be there to see them do the exercises. I still provide programs if people want them. But with the nutrition stuff, I can keep that 100% custom and specific to make sure that they're getting their needs that they need in terms of their body type, their lifestyle, their previous history with nutrition, all that stuff.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Because that was going to be my question. Like, are you doing face-to-face coaching as well as online coaching? Because the website's more around sort of the online coaching side of things. So where are you conducting your face-to-face coaching from?
So my face-to-face coaching I do in Melbourne. So I work out of Albert Park at the moment, in Albert Park. And then also Progression Fitness, which is based in Richmond, Cremorne area. So that's basically where I'm doing the coaching at the moment. I also do some female-specific coaching out at KB Performance in Coburg. But I'm starting to really niche down. Not niche down, like I know what my target client is, but I'm starting to really try and lock down a specific client, I guess, like you said, client avatar for who I work with. Basically someone that wants to lift weights, get strong, and implement conditioning, high intensity interval training when they need to, and be on track with their nutrition so that we can manipulate their results and improve their performance in the end of the day. So
boys, girls, doesn't matter. So you don't have a preference in terms of gender?
No, I don't have a preference. Like, I think, to be honest, over the last couple of years, because I'm also the trainer for Steph Claire Smith and Laura Henshaw's online program, Keep It Cleaner. So that, along with the fact that I've started to work with a number of female clients with their strength training and they've seen really good results, has probably led to a higher percentage of female clients now in face-to-face. But I definitely, obviously with the bodybuilding and the athletic background, still work with a number of guys on putting on building muscle and improving their athletic performance as well.
Yeah, so I did also see that. So you've worked with a footy player from Essendon.
Yeah, Dice Heppel.
So yeah, how did that go?
Yeah, good. Like I've been pretty lucky in terms of, well, I don't know, I don't really want to call it luck, but I've been fortunate to work with some really high profile athletes and just absolute specimens really, which has been great for me to be able to I really enjoy working
around. Good
100%.
Good people to work with,
yeah, and like being able to work with someone who has a very specific goal in mind. So some of the footy guys I've worked with Dice Heppel, Tommy McDonald, Joel Smith, Scotty Pendlebury from Collingwood, trying to think who else. There's a few VFL guys, and then work with a former Olympian, Michael Klim, and so that's been really cool to work with him. And
saw that.
So like I said, it's just great working with people that have a specific goal in mind, and that they're doing what you ask, and that every session they're trying to get the most out of their body. If I'm working with someone like Dice, he might come to me at the end of the season and say, this is what I need to work on this off season. These are the injuries we need to work around. So I enjoy the challenge of having to go, all right, we need to avoid this exercise or these movements because he's trying to keep off his hamstring or something like that, or we need to build up this area. And by the time he goes back to the club, if it hasn't improved, then it's kind of on me for not helping him get there.
Yeah.
So that aspect of it is really enjoyable.
It would definitely, I guess, force you to be put in a position to probably even do more research around certain injuries, because I mean, athletes are always faced with some sort of injury or some sort of rehab sort of thing that they need to deal with. So I guess, it does put you in a position where you're forced to educate yourself and progress a lot quicker in terms of skill set, I would say. So
definitely. And like, by no means do I see myself as obviously not a physiotherapist or even an exercise physiologist, but if there's someone that comes to me, regardless of whether it's an athlete or not, who has a very serious injury, most of the time I'll be working hand in hand with their physio. So even with someone that does play AFL or a sport, if they've got something we're working around, I'll be making sure that I'm getting their prehab or rehab program from their coach as well. So then I can work around that. And like you said, it does make you make sure that you're staying on top of your game. And that's something that I kind of pride myself in, is that I don't have a fixed mindset. So even though I think the way that I approach things works and I believe in what I do, I'm always researching new things that come out or different ways that other people approach things, and keeping an open mindset so that I can try that out as well and see if it works. Because especially in the health and fitness industry, if you're not kind of moving with the times, then you're going to get left behind. Yeah,
definitely. So tell us about, how do you go about priming your own mindset on a daily basis? Like, what are some of the things that you do, say from the morning, the time that you get up, or what time do you get up? What do you do around that time? And then if you have any sort of rituals in place every day to say, I'm going to listen to this, I'm going to do this, and everything like that. Yeah.
So from Monday through to Saturday, when I'm in my normal routine, I'm up at 4:30. So I set the alarm for 4:30. I'm the type of person that likes to get to work or get to my first client and feel like I'm under control. I've done the things I need to do to be prepared before I get there. I can't just get up at 10 to 6 and be at work by 6 and just get stuck into it. So my morning routine, and this is something that I've only started implementing over the past, I'd say 12 to 24 months, I'd say. So 1 to 2 years is I wake up, first thing I do is about 5 to 10 minutes of meditation. So guided meditation. After that, I'll go and drink some water, have a coffee and have my first meal. And then I'll get out my diary. I have a diary that I use every day, and I'll write down 3 small goals for the day. They could be, it could be big things that I need to achieve that day, or it could be something as simple as, paying some bills. I just find that having things that you tick off on a list each day just improves your discipline a little bit. And also just gets you in the habit of thinking about the things that you need to do on a day-to-day basis to get closer to wherever you want to be, goal-wise. And then at the start of the year, I always have goals that I write down for that year and the future. So I like to revisit those as often as I can. And then I guess other mindset priming things is I just like to listen to a lot of podcasts. I've tried to get into the habit of reading a lot. And initially I found that I definitely enjoyed it. I definitely got a lot out of it. And there's been some books that have, you could almost say, like changed my life or the way I think about things.
What sort of books? What sort of books would you say have changed your life?
Probably the first one was the can't remember the specific name, is either The Guide to Greatness or The Greatness Guide by Robin Sharma.
Okay.
And he's also got another one called The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari.
I've heard of that one. Yeah, good book.
Yeah, they were both amazing books. And then the other one that really had an impact on me was Grant Cardone's 10X Rule. That was amazing. So I tried to read for a while, but just the way I find it really hard to sit still and do one thing for a long period of time without getting distracted. So sitting down to read for half an hour to an hour each day just wasn't practical for me. So now, any time I spend in the car, or if I'm walking, or just doing some things on my computer and doing emails, I'll have a podcast or an audio book playing in my headphones, so I can spend more time learning, or sometimes I'll just listen to things that have nothing to do with work at all. I find that can help me in terms of my mindset, just switching off, because that was one of the reasons why I started meditation, because I just did find it hard to switch off completely. And I guess, sometimes got a bit anxious about things, and just wanted a way to be able to just reset or get myself in a mindset that I'm going to be ready to attack the day ahead.
Yeah. So with your meditation, how do you tackle that? So is it like through an app, or do you do that through YouTube streaming? How do you go about it?
I've done all of it. Like I actually use an app that I use now a lot is Headspace. So I've got the yearly subscription to that, and that's got a heap of really cool different meditations on there that kind of basically suit any scenario that you're wanting to meditate for, whether it's guided or whether it's, stressed out or scared of flying. It covers all of it. So I've done that. Some days I'll just get up a YouTube clip. Obviously I won't watch it, but I'll just get it up on my phone and do some form of like gratitude for 5 to 10 minutes, or just listen to, different, even sometimes different bits and pieces from certain movies or certain speeches that people have made that just get me kind of fired up or feeling a bit more thankful before I start my day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, cool. I've been using Headspace as well I think I did the yearly subscription also. Admittedly, I haven't been doing it enough. Because when I've got my partner over, I feel obligated to obviously pay more attention to her. However, when I'm by myself, it is definitely, it was really key, especially a couple of years ago for me. Just like you, I just could not switch off for the life of me. So just mine was constantly racing with, obviously with managing stress and wanting to always think about being 10 steps ahead type thing. So switching off can be a tough thing as a coach. And that's definitely one good way of doing it. I find that when I do listen to Headspace, I'm out like a light. Within 20 minutes, I'm out and I just have a deep sleep. Are you like that as well?
Yeah, well, it's funny. So I actually started, the first time I started meditation properly, I tried to do it at the end of 2016, and I did it for maybe a month and then just dropped off. And then at the start of 2017, I was like, all right, this year, every day, I'm going to meditate, regardless of whether it's for 3 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes. I'm just going to write it in my diary and tick it off every single day. And I achieved that at the end of 2017, and obviously saw benefit from it. So I just kept doing it. And now I haven't missed a day. But I actually find when I'm in Melbourne and when I'm in normal routine, like I'll be out like a light regardless. I'm just wrecked by the time I go to sleep. So I do mine first thing in the morning, because I just found that I was falling asleep while I was doing the meditation. So not really getting the benefit of it. And I just find as well, doing it in the morning just gets me kind of in a better mindset before I even get to work. Or some days I'll do it again. I might do it twice in the middle of the day if there's a lot going on, or I can't concentrate, or, like I said, if there's a fair bit of stress going on or something like that, I'll do it again in the middle of the day as well.
Okay, cool. So you say that you write 3 goals down every day as well.
Yeah.
So that's something I've definitely put in place for myself. I put a reminder on my phone. Again, I haven't been writing down. I have been sort of thinking more. I've been doing it more with intentional thought rather than physically writing it down. But just from your own sort of experience, how much of what you write down actually gets done?
All of it, most of it.
Yeah.
That's kind of been the goal, is to get to the point where it all does get done. There's days where it doesn't all get done. But I try and make it so it does. And like I said, I obviously have my long-term or short-term goals that may not happen that day.
Yeah.
But often they're not the ones that I write down. Like I was writing down, I actually did it for tomorrow, because the last few days has been a little out of routine. I had a trip to Vegas over the weekend, so it hasn't exactly been my normal routine. So
are you on holiday at the moment, or are you over there for work?
It's been 50-50 work and play. Obviously over the weekend was pretty much all play, but most of it I've been trying to put in at least a couple of hours every day with work. And now that I'm settled back in here in LA, it'll be pretty much all work until I come back to Australia. But an example of goals tomorrow is I send out an email to my daily email list. So Goal number one was get the daily email out first thing in the morning. So I'll go to a cafe, do some emails and get my daily email out. The second goal was go and train. So I've got a training session I need to do tomorrow. And the third one was to get in contact with a few people that I'm hoping to do some podcasts with when I'm in Venice next week in LA.
Awesome.
So there's three things that are easily achievable, things that even though they are easily achievable, just by I find physically writing them down and then actually ticking them off that list just gives you that feeling of accomplishment and productivity. I really strive for productivity. Like now that I'm back in routine here, I'll get up in the morning, do all my morning routine, get into a cafe, get out the work I need to get done, get my training done, and then I just feel really good about the fact that I've ticked all that stuff off. And it can be easy stuff. Like I tell people with these small goals, because it's something that I get my clients to do, is it doesn't have to be big stuff. It can be pay a certain bill. It can be do the vacuuming that you haven't done for a week that you've known every day that you should do because your house is filthy. Stuff like that does make you feel a lot more productive. And
100%.
I find once you're in that productive mindset, you're a lot more likely to then kind of roll with that and get a lot more other stuff done, or start to set yourself big goals because you know that you've had that feeling daily of ticking off the smaller things.
Yeah, and that's it. That's the key. Is just to keep it as practical and doable as possible. Otherwise, it just gets pushed to the side and it just doesn't get done. So, and that's what makes it, a consistent tool to just basically apply every single day. So whether you're writing it down or whether you're actually thinking about it and setting that intention in place one way or another, I'm a firm believer that the universe will do the work it needs to do to help things come to fruition. So tell us now, obviously as a coach, we deal with a lot of our clients' emotions and their sort of setbacks and stuff. So maybe, I suppose, think about sometimes when you've had to deal with a client's mindset more so than their actual programming and nutrition, and how you've gone about helping a client really just get their mindset where it needs to be, where you've had a client that just wasn't listening to what you were saying, even though what they wanted was in contradiction to what they were doing. And if you actually had those clients where the penny finally dropped and they were able to make a proper breakthrough, get awesome results and all the rest of it.
Yeah, sure. So I guess the way I like to do it is, on one hand, be really honest. On the other hand, make sure that I'm giving my clients and like basically showing them that I care and giving them praise when they deserve it, even regardless of how big or small it is. It could be as simple as, this week, the past few weeks, I might have been trying to get a client to drink more water each day. So this week I've specifically told them to write down every morning that they need to drink 3 liters of water. And if they do it for that week, like, I'll go out of my way to make sure I actually bring it up and tell them that that's a good thing and congratulations, and that I'm proud that they did it. But if I've got someone who is that I know, or they're telling me that they're not actually sticking to their macros for that week, or they're not putting in the time in the gym, they're not getting the improvements done that they need to get done, then I'm more than happy to tell them that I can only do so much. In the end of the day, like, I'm here for you to be accountable to, and I'm going to provide you with the tools that you need to achieve your goal. But if you're not doing the work, then the results aren't going to come. So if you're putting in the work and you're not seeing results, then it's up to me to make the changes to make sure you do. But if you're not doing it, then there's nothing I can do about it. And I'll tell someone if I don't think they're putting in the effort, or I'll tell them if I don't think that what they're currently doing is the best approach. And I'll say, if it's someone that specifically doesn't want to change the way that they're approaching something, I'll just say to them, look, give me 3 to 4 weeks of my way. And if you still don't agree with it, if you still don't think it works and you don't like it, then we'll go back to your way. But a lot of the time it's as simple as saying, well, if your way works, then why are we in the position that we're in at the moment? Sure. Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result is literally, I think they say, the definition of insanity.
Cool. So do you ever encourage your clients to listen to podcasts, namely so your podcast, because you've got some pretty good content on there. You've got some fairly good dudes which you've brought on.
Thank you.
I did like that mindset one that you put on, because it was good. She actually said she had a pretty good perspective on things. I think the way she worded some things I really agreed with.
This was the meditation.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was quite good. That was actually one of the main reasons I actually reached out to you.
Okay. Cool.
Thought, well, that's awesome. Dan's pretty open to the whole mindset side of training as well, and how important it can be with a client reaching results. Yeah. So that's all good. It sounds really good. Now, again, do you have those clients that are kind of like a mini you in a sense, where they're sort of emulating almost your routine to a degree?
Yeah, like I definitely think that everyone is completely different, and just because something works for me in no way means that it's going to work for you. But that a lot of the time, the reason that people do kind of come on and join me in my coaching group, or join me as a face-to-face personal training client, is because they like the way that I approach things. And that's why I put out the type of content that I do with my podcast. I'll always be open. I'll have guests on the show that I may not even specifically follow their approach, or I may not think that the way that they go about things is the best way. But I still like to get them on there, because other people might enjoy that content. Other people might relate to that just because I don't. I definitely do but I recommend to a lot of my clients and those that follow my content to do things like daily meditation, because I was literally the last person that you would expect to do meditation before I started. And now I do it every day. Same with reading, same with even listening to podcasts, starting a podcast. Like, I think more people should start a podcast. I can't believe people actually listen to what I have to say, but now it's got to the point where it's opened up a number of doors. I've been able to meet some really, really cool people. The networking has been great, and it's led to opportunities like this. I've been able to chat to you today, and it's being able to have like emails or Instagram stories each day where people are listening to the podcast is awesome. And if I recommend to someone to listen to my podcast, chances are they'll go and listen to some other ones, and they might find other content that they enjoy. So yeah, I definitely do tell other people to try it out as well, because although everyone is different, like, I think I've definitely seen benefit from it. So like I said, a lot of people come to me as a client or whatever because they see the way that I approach things and they want to try it. So I'm going to just basically share my experience, and if people want to come along for the ride, they can.
Yeah, no, cool. So yeah, I agree with you in the sense of how a podcast can really open some doors and networking opportunities. And even just as a coach, like, just to learn how other people do things, how other coaches approach things. It's almost like a nice debrief session for coaches to just sit and chat about all things fitness. And even like, I suppose, Dan, like, if you could say that anything was kind of wrong in the industry, like, what would be some of the things that you would like to change or see change within the industry?
Well, basically just continuing on with what you kind of mentioned or touched on just then, is that I think if you're closed-minded and you think that your way is the only way, then not only are you going to come unstuck eventually, but also it's just not going to be the most optimal approach for you or your clients. And people are eventually going to see that. So I just think the thing that I don't like about the industry is, one, big egos and people letting their ego do more of their talking than what they're actually out there to preach. Another thing that I'm not massive on, and it kind of annoys me a little bit, is people that don't agree with certain ways that other people are doing it, but they spend more time putting them down instead of just kind of preaching what they do. Follow. So that's basically how I approach it, is that I always try and continue to learn. So I subscribe to a number of different newsletters. I go to seminars. I listen to podcasts. I chat with people that I do podcasts with before and after the actual interview, or I might go back and listen to an interview I've done with someone and take bits and pieces from them. And I just spend all of my time preaching about what I think works, or what I have found to work, instead of trying to basically shit on other people's approaches. I think people the fitness industry would be a lot better. I think it's already improving a lot. But I think it would be a lot better if everyone just kind of looked at each other as a way of learning and growing together instead of making it about a competition between everyone. It's almost like people are out there to try and, bring someone else down instead of just bringing each other up. So that's kind of my approach to it anyway.
Yeah,
like I'm happy if I see someone else doing really well, then I'm extremely happy for them. Whereas a lot of people don't necessarily like seeing other people do well if they're not doing well as well. So you can take something.
Unfortunately, yeah. Look, that just comes back to people's own sense of confidence and self-worth. And I don't think necessarily that's an industry thing. I think that's just a personal confidence thing, regardless of the industry. But unfortunately, it is it's very prominent in the fitness industry. It is a very competitive environment, especially, for example, being in a commercial gym, running a coaching business out of a commercial gym. Whilst everyone's working together, everyone is running their own business. So it is kind of like a fight for business. And there needs to be more of that community, more of a community feel inside, not just studios, but commercial gyms as well, so that everyone feels like they're being supported. Because whilst there is a ton of information out there and everyone has their own approach, I don't think things are necessarily, there are tried and true methods, and then there's everything in between. And there's that everything in between, which is not necessarily right or wrong. And I think that's where where people pick on each other needs to sort of stop. So
yeah, definitely. Yeah. There's definitely ways of training, ways of eating that are going to come and go. But in the end of the day, everything's kind of worth a try. The things that do work, you will tend to see that it's going to stick around forever. Obviously, there's going to be different things that come up along the way. There's the amount of different studies and research that's coming out now is huge. But as long as your mindset is open and you're actually willing to change, if there is something that backs up something other than your approach, then I think you're going to do just fine.
Yeah. Look, Dan, for me, getting into training and stuff, I've been training for over 10 years now, and without knowing exactly how things were working in terms of, put it this way, I ate clean most of the time. I had a bit of a flexible approach. I still achieved amazing results without knowing a lot of why things were happening. So that's why for me, I'm very much about the whole mindset side of things, because I think if you can really just do things consistently, you'll get results regardless. And that's mindset. I think mindset uncomplicates the process without knowing too much of why or how. Just be consistent. Hey, the results will come.
Yeah. And like you just said then, like I think a month of doing okay is going to get you far greater results than a day or a week of doing things perfectly.
Yeah.
So if you're consistently doing things well and you're consistently improving and doing the small things well, then over time that leads to massive results.
Very true, my friend. Very true. So just before we wrap it up, just a couple of lighter questions. So biggest gym fail you've seen?
Biggest gym fail I've seen?
Yeah.
Probably. I've seen some pretty funny ones and just with weights and stuff. But the funniest one that I've seen is actually talking to my when I first started as a gym instructor. I was talking to my school principal's wife on the treadmill because I'd just given her a program, and she was looking at me as I was standing on the side of the treadmill and just come off the back, which probably wasn't the greatest thing. And from that day on, I always stand on front of the treadmill right at the person and make sure they stay right. But one of the other trainers in at work, one of his clients dropped a weight on his foot and then finished the rest of the session, got to his car and took his shoe off, and his shoe was filled with blood, and he ended up having to get surgery that day to reattach his big toe.
So he went through the session with like a busted toe anyway.
Basically, no toe. It basically came off. So that's pretty full on, yeah.
That's full on. That's funny. I shouldn't laugh, but yeah, we've all seen some dumb things. All right, dude. And what's your favorite leg day song?
Favorite leg day song? I listen to mixes on SoundCloud. So the three artists that I get the best mixes from is one, Will Sparks, two, C Barts, who's another Melbourne DJ, and three is Short Round, who is another Melbourne DJ. They all get me up and about.
Awesome. And the reason why I ask is because I make it, when I put the podcast together, I'll generally put a theme song that's different for every person. So I try and pick a song that I feel is going to be suited to that person. Right. So you can give me, say, one song from Will Sparks. Do you know the name of any of his songs that potentially I could use?
One of his new songs called Flacker. It's Flakka.
Done deal, mate. I shall put that on for you. All right, cool. So, Dan, look, if people want to get in touch with you on, say, the podcast, on Facebook, Instagram, what is your handle?
So on Instagram, it's at DJK Fitness. My website is DannyKennedyFitness.com. So there's a contact form on there, or you can come and check out the podcast, which is called the Fitness and Lifestyle Podcast. And that's currently available on iTunes and Stitcher. So if you've got an iPhone, jump on iTunes. If you've got Android, get on Stitcher. Too
easy. Cool. I will plug all of those below, guys. So please be sure to check them out. Danny does have some really good content, which he puts out. And that's it, dude. So do you have any questions for me before we take off?
I don't. I just wanted to take the opportunity to say thank you and appreciate you for having me on. And hopefully everyone that's tuned in today is taking some value. And I look forward to hearing the episode when it's up and listening to some of your other episodes as well.
Yeah, sounds good. No, thank you so much again for coming on. Just hang on the line there. So guys, thanks again for tuning in, and thank you for watching episode number 6 of the Mindset series.
Bang, 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 bang. Flagger, flagger, my body got swagger, my mind all scattered like invisible ladders. I'm a zombie with a screw loose. See me